Mamdani.
Zohran Mamdani.
14 months ago, few New Yorkers knew his name.
Let us make those dreams a reality, and let us do it together.
His message resonated with a new generation of voters.
I believe that he's sincere in his word, and he's not afraid to apologize.
He does have that fire that I do like.
Mamdani's the best person just because he has clear-cut policies.
I think he is looking to help everyone.
Stunning the country by easily defeating former Governor Andrew Cuomo in the Democratic primary.
We have won because New Yorkers have stood up for a city they can afford.
And again, in the general election.
I will wake each morning with a singular purpose: to make this city better for you than it was the day before.
Live special coverage of the inauguration of Zohran Mamdani starts now. Good afternoon and Happy New Year. I'm Jessica Moore.
And I'm Christine Johnson. It is a new era at City Hall, and it begins today. Zohran Mamdani set to take the oath of office publicly in just a few minutes, taking the reins of the nation's largest city.
And the new mayor will face challenges and tests starting on day one. Here is a live look at City Hall. You can see the crowd filling in there. Mamdani makes history today as the first Muslim and the first person of South Asian descent to lead our city. And while millions of New Yorkers were counting down to 2026, at the stroke of midnight, Mamdani was sworn in during a private ceremony at the old City Hall station, placing his hand on a Quran as he took the oath. New York Attorney General Letitia James administered the oath of office, and his family joined him at that private ceremony. Just about an hour ago, he arrived at City Hall in a yellow cab, thanking the driver before opening the door for his wife, Rama.
So let's set the scene now for what's going to happen here over the next hour or so. Today, Zohran Mamdani will be sworn in by Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders, and Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez will deliver the opening remarks. And acclaimed poet Cornelius Eady will read an original poem. Before he is sworn in, New York City Controller Mark Levine and Public Advocate Jumaane Williams will be taking the oath of office as well. Some 4,000 ticketed guests will all be in attendance for this afternoon's festivities. But if you cannot attend, there is a public block party on Broadway along the Canyon of Heroes from Liberty Street to Murray Street. And here is a live look at the people gathering now. The mayor's office expecting 40,000 people to be there. They started arriving at about 11 o'clock this morning, and organizers were expecting thousands. This bitter cold today, though, may actually keep some people home, but we'll see. Time will tell.
Yeah, we did see people lining up early this morning, starting at about 9 o'clock. We have team coverage of this historic event. We're joined by our Dick Brennan and political analyst Stu Loser. Stu was the Mayor Michael Bloomberg's press secretary and spokesperson. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. We know this is a big day, and we're happy to have your expertise.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here, too.
Yes, your expertise
on the
as
other
well.
side of the table.
Yes.
All right. In addition to this team, we also have Jennifer Bisram and Andrew Ramos live at the block party. Let's begin, though, with the star of today in our political team coverage here, Marcia Kramer. She once again joins us from City Hall. Marcia, tell us about what we can expect here today.
Well, I want to tell you something. There's an air of excitement and expectation, but if you take a look at the crowd, it's different than the crowds that have been here in decades past. There are a lot of people, the usual elected officials and others, but there are a whole bunch of people who were volunteers in his campaign, and you can pick them out in the crowd because they're wearing either yellow caps or blue caps that have Zohran emblazed across the front, and those are some of the caps they wore as they went door to door trying to get voters to come out for Zohran Mamdani. And as you know, it was a huge success. He won 51% of the vote. But if you take a look, I want to tell you he's got a message to voters that he has in his program. I want to read you just a paragraph. He says, an inauguration is not simply a celebration of a transfer of power. It is a fulfillment of aspiration, a moment between what came before and will come next, a pursuit of higher goals, the beginning of a future of possibility. The future begins begins today. And that's the message here. He wants to show that this is a new era in city government, sweeping out the old politics, sweeping in the new politics, and an era of possibility. The real question for a lot of people is whether he's going to be able to achieve his aspirations, or like some of the other mayors who've come before, he will just not be as successful. But everybody here has great expectations. They're hoping for the best. Now, what are we going to see today? Well, of course, we are going to see the swearing in of other citywide elected officials, but also setting the tone. First off will be Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who's going to give opening remarks. But one thing that I think is really interesting is that Mandy Patinkin and the chorus of Staten Island PS22 are going to be singing Somewhere Over the Rainbow. They think that's something that's going to set the tone for this administration. And then also, he's going to have a number of other people who are going to be reading poetry. He's going to have Babalicious, who's an Indian comedian and singer, and also, but I think the star of the show is going to be Zohran Mamdani, who's going to give a speech, and he's going to be able to tell people exactly where his administration is going. It's expected to be inspirational and to get people going. I'm live at City Hall. I'm Marcia Kramer, CBS News, New York. Back to you guys.
You know, Marcia, in comparison to other past inaugurations that you have covered here in New York City, you know, they each have their own personalities. They each have their own campaign promises with the different candidates that have won this very prestigious office. I'm wondering if there's anything different that you're feeling about today with this new administration.
Well, I think that if you take a look at the faces in the crowd, you're going to see a younger, more engaged crowd, people who have bought into an administration. It's not just the people who have come here because they're elected officials or they know elected officials. These are people who participated in this campaign and helped get this man elected. And that's, I think, going to be the hallmark of his campaign and of his mayoralty, is that he's going to be very inclusive. But I want to point out to you that he starts out with a number of difficult problems. During the campaign and before he was an assemblyman, he criticized the NYPD. He has to win them over. He also has to win over Jewish New Yorkers who are concerned, some of them, by the fact that he's refused to admit that Israel should be a Jewish state, and so they're looking for to be included as well. So he has a number of problems that he has to work through, and of course there's all of his campaign promises, not only free buses, but child care, universal child care for everything. He's going to have to get Albany behind him, and he's going to have to get Governor Hochul behind him, and Governor Hochul is supposed to be here today as one of his guests, and he's going to be counting on her and the members of the legislature to help deliver on a very ambitious agenda.
And Marcia, speaking of guests in attendance, AOC and Bernie Sanders there taking pivotal roles in his official swearing in. What message does that send, not only about his current alliances, but about his priorities on day one?
Well, he's made it very clear during the course of his campaign. His priority is working people, affordability, and making the city affordable for the people who actually work and live here. I think it says a lot about this man that he arrived in a yellow taxi. People may forget this, but when he was an assemblyman, he worked to get fair wages for people who were cab drivers, and that was one of the hallmarks of his campaign and his commitment to working New Yorkers, working people. And I think you're going to see an administration that's going to prioritize working people. But I have to tell you that one of the things he's going to have to deal with is that he has to deliver new contracts for a number of unions that have expired, including, by the way, the police department. The PBA has been without a contract since August, and he's going to have to start to find the money to deliver big contracts for people who supported him, who are expecting huge raises as he deals with a huge budget crisis as well. So he's got a lot of problems, but he's also got a lot of faith in his ability to deliver. Again, I think this is going to be a man who's going to try to deliver for working New Yorkers and make good on his promises of making this a truly affordable city.
And so many political watchers out there also commenting on his charming personality. That has definitely won him over some critics. Marcia Kramer, live at City Hall for us. We'll be checking in with you throughout this coverage. Thanks, Marcia.
Thousands of New Yorkers are braving the cold right now to try to get a glimpse of this inauguration ceremony.
So let's go to Andrew Ramos. He is at one of the entrances to this block party. Andrew, close to 40,000 people were told by the mayor's office expected to be there. All of them had to RSVP to tell them that they wanted to attend. How are things looking?
Well, I can tell you how things feel. They feel very cold right now. God bless these people out here. It really gives you an idea of what they're here and how much support and loyalty they have for the mayor, Mamdani. Now, we are here at one of the entrances of this block party that stretches down Broadway. This is the intersection of Park Row and Broadway, and it just keeps going down Broadway. I would say there's a couple of thousand people here. They started lining up at 9 o'clock, as you mentioned, to take part of these festivities. Some of them wearing their Mamdani gear and their Mamdani merch. Others layers upon layers and more layers because of this cold, and they are here braving the elements for sure. Now, when you consider the frigid weather we are dealing with, it really highlights just how loyal and dedicated these supporters are, as I mentioned, gathering here at City Hall to take part in the festivities. All the spectators here are required to register ahead of time in order to have a ticket for the inauguration block party. That registration portal was still open as of late this morning, so they were really trying to fill in this party. Now, the makeup of the crowd really runs the gamut. Some of them were volunteers who worked a months-long campaign. Others are New Yorkers who were just energized by Mamdani's message, and others just people from the area who wanted to be part of what they say is a historic moment for this city.
I am curious about this mayor. He's completely different than any other mayor we had, and I think there's going to be a lot of changes. Hopefully it's for the best.
The weather's not really a big factor. You know, it's cold, but I'm used to the cold anyway, so it's not a big deal for me just to come out.
It's like once in a lifetime event, you know? I mean, there's the ball that drops every year, but how much can you experience an event like this? A first mayor, Muslim mayor, African-American mayor, and you know, what he could bring, the hype, you know. The ball, you're like, oh, I'll just go next year. But with this, who knows when this will happen again.
Now, on top of this weather situation and wearing all the layers that they are, the people here are dealing with security measures, very, very tight security measures. We've seen a lot of people get turned away. They thought they could just come by and join in on the festivities, and that is not the case. If you did not register ahead of time, you will be denied entry. I mean, chances are you could actually hang out a block away and still hear the music and feel like you're there, but not really. But that's the latest from here, live outside City Hall. Andrew Ramos, CBS News, New York.
All right, Andrew, try to stay warm out there. Thank you. We'll check back in with you later.
Let's now go to our political expert analysis. We welcome Dick Brennan and Stu Lozier here to the table today to help us get through this
Unpack it all.
Day.
Yeah, let's start with
here. Yeah, we're like a little warmer.
Yes, it's very much warmer. Glad to be inside.
There, I've been there, and
yeah, you have.
Yeah,
it is not awesome.
Let's start with you, Stu. What themes and points are you expecting the new mayor to really emphasize during this first huge speech of his mayoral run?
I think we can expect to hear four things. Absolutely going to talk about affordability. That was the purpose of him running for mayor. It was the key theme in his campaign, the through line. Everything he talked about was about affordability, so we're going to hear about that. We're going to have to hear him, probably going to hear him talk about that we're not going to do things the way we always have done, that the city government exists with all these crazy old rules. The argument against Zohran Mamdani is he doesn't have experience and he doesn't know all these rules. His counter argument should be these are dumb rules, and a lot of them aren't even rules. They've been looking to see if these rules, if the way we've always done things is the way we have to, or just the way we have been. He thinks that there are other ways to do that. It's important to get things done, and it's an important counteraction to the argument that he has little experience. We're going to have to hear him talk about how he's going to bring people together. Right or wrong, his fault or not, it was the most divisive campaign in any of our lifetimes in New York, and a lot of us were around in 2001, which was also a brutal fight. And he's going to talk about public safety. At the end of the day, if people do not feel safe and crime does not continue to head in the right direction, no mayor gets to do their agenda. He has put Jessica Tisch in, or kept Jessica Tisch in as mayor, probably his most important appointment when they posed for New York Magazine last week. She was front and center with him. I think those are the four things we're going to hear: affordability, bringing us together, not doing it the same way, and public safety.
Okay.
Well, this time last year, he was taking the polar plunge along with everyone else on Coney Island.
That's right. So he's warmer. He's the only one who's warmer now.
Yeah. But a year ago, most people didn't know who Zohran Mamdani was. And here he is now being inaugurated as the city's 112th mayor. Dick, your perspective covering the campaign, there was really a sense of hope was sort of the common thread, not just affordability, but he was bringing in all of these youth, the youth voters, the young voters, generating excitement and overall hope for a better New York City.
Yeah, and he had the message, and he was the messenger. The message was his three things. Okay, he wanted buses. He wanted universal childcare. He wanted to freeze the rent. But in addition, he had TikTok. He was putting things on social media. You saw that plunge video, which was hilarious.
In a suit, by the way.
He was in a suit. He always has
tie.
the tie on. He's always got the tie on, and the dark suit, as Marcia and I kid him, that we think he has 3 suits, okay? But in addition, he has a message that I'm going to bring this for you. I'm going to bring affordability. And that could be, you know, his brilliance as a brilliant campaigner. He came a backbencher in Albany, comes all the way forward to be the mayor of New York City. Now he's got to deliver, and that's the hard part, because his three points are not simplistic. They're not things we could say, okay, let's just shift the budget a little this way. Universal child care. I don't think anybody could be against universal child care. The governor's in favor of it. The legislature's in favor of it. But it's got a $15 billion price
Right, how do you
tag.
pay for it?
He's not going to, I don't think he's going to address that today. But the point is, this is something that's going to take years. He's thinking about a 4 to 8 year plan. I'm sure he wants to be there a second term. But are these young voters going to be patient and say, I can wait for that? These are really good ideas. Everybody wants fast buses and they want free buses. But then again, talk to senior citizens and they say, well, I don't go on the subways. I use buses because they're harder to get into. So do I want more people on the bus? I mean, there are a lot of complexities to this. The MTA is not particularly in favor of that. They're going to come up with another plan. He's going to learn very quickly why Donald Trump said it a couple of weeks ago. Maybe it's the second toughest job in the world.
Yeah. To your point about hope, though, when I interviewed A.G. James the night Mamdani was declared the winner, she said she had not seen this much buy-in, especially from youth voters, since Obama. And he had that message of hope. We're going to do things differently. The status quo upending that you touched on, Stu, how does he do that while still getting things through Albany?
Well, look, most people who cover politics, most people who work in politics are like political science majors. This is what we do. We care about this a lot. Most people aren't like that. When my boss, Mike Bloomberg, was in office and we were doing things like putting the first vehicle locations pre-GPS in ambulances and fire trucks so that we knew where they were and if they're out of sector and if someone went to get a sandwich 4 blocks further than they should have been and therefore they're going to be it was going to take them longer to get to a response. Like, that was hard to do, and we had to fight the unions, and it was new technology, and there's a lot of skepticism, but it wasn't purely ideological. And when Zohran Mamdani talks about, you know, you order a burrito, and you can see it coming on one of the platforms that, you know, he came in a yellow cab, but it's not the yellow cabs, it's the other companies that are bringing you your burrito. You can see exactly where it is. Why can't you do that on 311? Yeah, that's right. When you call in a leaking fire hydrant, you know, like Mike Bloomberg's idea was that you didn't have to know that the fire department doesn't run the fire hydrants, that it's the Department of Public Works, which we call environment. Like you don't have to know. He's saying, like, I'm going to make it better. I'm going to make it work. And that's not a left-right issue, and there's a ton to do.
It is a competency job. It really is. It's an executive job, and you got to get the trains to run. You got to get the garbage picked up. You got to get the snow plowed. Don't want to be out of the country, as Stu remembers. You know, they always remember that.
He was not out of the country.
I'm going to
he was out the day before. He was there. You guys, Marcia covered the press conference live as a snow fell. I'm going to correct the record. He was there. You know what? I want to remember.
That's what the spokesman said. Okay, and he's sticking to it.
We were there.
Okay.
But, you know, honing in on that very issue, Stu, and I'd love to get your perspective on this, you know, given your experience with Mike Bloomberg and also just your work in the political field. The one knock that we've been constantly hearing about Mamdani is his experience. He's never had to really manage anything.
That's right.
So we can expect some missteps. I mean, he has to have some missteps.
He's going to have missteps. I would say 2 things that give me heart, and I didn't come into this I'm not here as the Mamdani, you know, cheerleader. Number one.
Just real quick, we can see Bernie Sanders. This is Bernie Sanders, a senator from Vermont, who will be there to he'll be issuing the oath of office for Mayor Mamdani. And then we are also told that Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who will be giving the opening remarks, she has also arrived at City Hall. I'm sorry to interrupt you there, Stu.
So number one, I know after he won the primary and he went on this tour of establishments and business leaders and tech leaders, he talked a lot about the Mike Bloomberg style of governing, in which mayor cares a great deal about a relatively small number of things. In Mike's case, public schools, public health, a couple other issues, but builds a great team, empowers them, makes them responsible, but says, I'm ultimately to blame. So they're going to come up with ideas, and he says he's emulating that style. Now, of course, that's a great thing to tell a bunch of business leaders or tech leaders that I'm going to be governed like Mike Bloomberg did. If he does that, it's a hopeful sign. And a lot of the people he's appointed, most of the people he's appointed are experienced government hands. Can't agree with everything they've done in the past, but they do have some ability to run things, a great ability to run things. The other is he going to change when he needs to change his views? And we saw this. We saw this about mayoral control of schools yesterday. He said, "I'm actually in favor of mayoral control of schools," which he was all along. He said, "I think there should be more parents involved. I think there should be more community input. But I also think I'm going to get rid of wasteful, duplicative spending, and you have to be in charge to do that." Not every politician, certainly not people of an earlier generation, would back off on something particularly that's so important to some members of his base, and he's already getting heat for it. But he's doing the right thing there.
Well, wouldn't you argue that he did the same thing by keeping Jessica Tisch on as the commissioner of the NYPD, right?
And he says that the biggest thing he learned during this campaign is that there is a role for the private sector in building housing. Now, to start off by saying there's no role and then to adapt to it is not really it's not really a movement to the right. It is a movement from the far left towards the center, but it is movement.
But I do wonder if the critics are going to really hang on to that and say, you know what, he's already shifting on all of these promises that he made, and they're going to be out there like watchdogs.
It is a tough town.
It is.
And people are, people are, not only do people want whatever they are advocating for, they are nervous if someone else is getting what they want.
Yeah.
So, it is a tough town. It is hard to please.
I know. All right, we'll get back to Stu and Dick in just a second. Let's get out to Doug Williams right now. He's live in the crowd.
And Doug, you ran into Attorney General Letitia James, who was with the mayor last night at the stroke of midnight to issue him the oath of office officially. Doug, what did she have to say?
Well, I asked her what his mindset was like last night, and good to be with you guys. And she described him as being excited, but to continue sort of the conversation that you guys have been having in studio, she described the challenges, the difficulties of the job that he will face, and as did Mark Levine, the new city comptroller. Of course, this is his introduction as well, his inauguration as well, and he described it as the second hardest job in the United States of America, leading New York City, and described, the ideas and the campaign promises that Mayor Mamdani made for so many months on the campaign trail are now up to him and others in the administration to actually implement. And you saw on your screen, I heard you guys mention that Tish James was coming out on stage. We saw AOC and Bernie Sanders as well. Huge round of applause. And I asked Tish James just about the skeptics of politics in general. It may not even be personal to Zohran Mamdani, but just about the challenge that now becomes implementing the months of campaign ideas and promises now that he is the mayor. Take a listen.
Say, you have to meet him. I think it's really critically important that individuals understand that forget the labels. It's really all about his heart. And at the end of the day, he's a humanist, and he cares about others, and he cares about the city, and he cares about all of us, regardless of your religious affiliation, your ethnicity, the color of your skin. It's all about making sure that everyone can live here, and particularly young people who unfortunately are having a difficult time purchasing a home or renting here in the city of New York, and parents who unfortunately can't afford childcare, and individuals who suffer from food insecurity, too many children who go to school hungry. Those are the things that he cares about. He's a humanist at heart.
And it was in early October that Attorney General Letitia James first came out and supported openly Zohran Mamdani, his campaign platform. And so many of the talking points that she's mentioning just now before his public inauguration are the ones that he mentioned on the campaign trail. Comptroller Levine talked a lot about the challenges of now implementing the public housing goals, the affordable housing goals. And again, we expect, obviously, that to be a big part of his remarks today, Mamdani's that is. But again, it's now this shift, the same one that you guys are talking about, that, okay, now the work starts. And the comptroller mentioned sort of the conversations they had been having in the transition about the day one initiatives. None of them will come, I don't think, as a surprise. But again, it's those same tenets of the campaign that will be part of the remarks today. And the administration certainly hopes a lot of work to be done in the future on actually implementing them, guys.
Campaigning to now governing. Doug Williams, thank you so much. Let's go back out to the block party. Jennifer Bisram is there with a few thousand of her closest friends.
Jennifer, Canyon of Heroes, the site of so many ticker tape parades when all of our sports teams win the championship, and now today, the site of a block party for the new New York City mayor.
Yeah, hi, Jess and Christine. This is the first time in New York City history that there is an inauguration, a block party here along the Canyon of Heroes. And people have been lined up here for several hours despite the cold. They've been bundled up. The gates to this accessway here opened around 11 o'clock, but people are still here as early as 8:30, 9 o'clock. And right now, even though the ceremony is expected to be starting very soon, there is still thousands of people still online. The line goes back to several blocks. But I do want to bring in two people, a couple here from Harlem. They were online earlier today, and they just got through this entry point here. And just kind of want to talk to them about, tell us, this is Lena and Daniel, and you're from Harlem, yeah?
Yes.
How long were you guys online for today?
About 2 hours.
2 hours. Are you bundled up?
Yes. Quite a lot of layers.
Lots of layers.
And hand warmers.
Did you have a split-second decision? Maybe we shouldn't go because it's this cold?
It was, you know what? Nope.
Nope.
Nope. Nope.
I think we were standing in a line, and it didn't look like it was moving.
And why did you want to be here today?
I think it's important to support Mayor Mamdani with the things that he's trying to put forth, and I just wanted to be here to be part of course, a block party. I am a New Yorker, and
we love a good party.
Love a good block
It's
party.
historic. I mean, I feel like, how could I not be here? Yeah, his platform, you know, his campaign that he ran, his vision for the city, his historic vision, and I didn't want to miss it.
What does this moment mean for the two of you, if anything?
Well, for me, I think with the state of the world today, I think it's important for people to come together when you have this type of outlook, because it can be hard and you can feel isolated with all of the things going on, not just federally, but internationally. And so I think it's important, and I've seen people here, and we've had conversations in line and heard conversations in line about, you know, that's the general idea of the folks that are coming out here. They wanted to stand together with other folks of like mind.
I think 100% of what she said is that it's important for people to stand up for the things that they believe in, and to be present, and to show up. So that's what we're doing.
Well, thank you both for talking with us. Go warm up. Maybe if you get closer to the crowd, you might feel a little warmth there. And thank you guys for talking to us, okay?
Thanks a lot. Take care.
Take care. Happy New Year.
Thank you.
Okay, you heard it. People wanted to be here to usher in what Mayor Mamdani calls a new era in this city. And again, this is the first time an inaugural block party is being held here in New York City. And a few weeks ago at a press conference, I did ask Mayor Mamdani, why was it that he wanted to do this? And he said, because this is not just his inauguration. This is the inauguration for all of the New Yorkers who supported him and who voted for him, who canvassed for him. So this is the very reason why he wanted to open this up for people here today. 40,000 people are expected to be here. And I don't know if you can see behind me, if Alan can show you, but right there are big screens along the entire, along Canyon of Heroes here on Broadway. that is where people are lined up, but they're also going to be able to watch the actual public inaugural ceremony as it takes place. You can see the City Hall there. That's right now the focus is City Hall, just waiting for that to happen. And you can still see people ushering in, walking in. And if Alan can just kind of zoom in here, they're also giving people this pin when they get here. It's a Zohran Mamdani pin when they get here, and they pass security just so that they can feel a little bit more in this moment. But again, you know, we talked to people along the lines here today, and they said it doesn't matter how cold it is today. They wanted to be here for what they are saying is now a new era of this city. As we all know, Mayor Mamdani built his campaign around affordability, but also around immigrants in this city, and that is the passion that a lot of people feel, and that's what got them out in this cold on New Year's Day to be here today. But we will stay here, monitor this area. We'll talk to the folks that are here at this block party after Mayor Mamdani gives his speech, and we'll bring that to you very soon when that happens. But for now, we are live along the Canyon of Heroes. Jennifer Bisram, CBS News, New York.
Jennifer, I'm so glad you mentioned those big Jumbotron screens, because I was curious how all of those people were going to be able to watch the actual inauguration ceremony. And do you feel as though that people are still arriving? I mean, this thing was supposed to start about half an hour ago, but yet we're still waiting for City Hall to get the program going. More people are showing up?
Oh, yeah. I mean, we can't turn the camera around completely right now, but there is at least several blocks of people still standing here waiting to get in, which I think is remarkable, being that they open the gates at 11 o'clock. But there is a strict screening process when they get here, and so they have to get screened before they can go. Look, people are now getting in. How long have you guys been online for?
Been in line for like 45 to 50 minutes.
Oh, that's not bad. Okay, so they said 45, 50 minutes. But, you know, people have said they've been here either online for about anywhere from 40, 45 minutes up to 2 hours even, just to kind of get a glance of what's happening. But as you mentioned, Christine, there's several jumbo big screens along the way here so that people can actually just watch and take part in this moment.
All right, Jennifer Bisram. Thank you for that analysis from your point of view. We appreciate that. We'd like now to go back to City Hall, where the official inauguration ceremony is about to begin. We understand that there is some movement happening, and now a video montage of the next mayor of New York City is being played. Let's go ahead and listen in.
After months of door knocking,
we have won because New Yorkers have stood up for a city they can afford. A life of dignity should not be reserved for a fortunate few. The most important part is to be listening to the New Yorkers who've been on the front line. Their creativity, their drive, their commitment is what sets our city apart. There were many who said that we would not crack 5%. And now here we are today. We stand here with a remarkable opportunity to create a better New York. This city belongs to you.
Good afternoon and Happy New Year, everyone. My name is Bernie Wagenblast. Pleased to join you and be the announcer this afternoon. Perhaps you best know me as the voice that says, please stand away from the platform edge. Thank you for joining us on this historic day. Please welcome Comptroller Mark Levine, joined by his wife Evilise Suarez and sons Alejandro Levine and Daniel Levine. Please welcome Public Advocate Jumanji Williams, joined by his wife, India Sneed Williams, and daughters Amelie Claremont and Amani Williams. welcome Mayor Zohran Mamdani and First Lady Rama Duwaji. Presenting flags, please welcome the ceremonial officers representing the Parks Department, the Department of Sanitation, the New York City Police Department, and the Fire Department of New York. Please welcome to the stage Javier Munoz as we rise for the national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
To deliver a welcome message, introducing Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
My name is Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and it is my deep honor and privilege to welcome you to the inauguration of our new mayor of New York City, Zohran Mamdani. We gather here today to celebrate the beginning of his leadership, as well as that of two incredible elected officials who will be guiding the city by his side, Public Advocate Jumaane D. Williams and our new controller, Mark D. Levine. We also celebrate the hundreds and thousands of public servants and city leaders getting to work today, from our sanitation workers and librarians to our commissioners, deputy mayors, and our school's chancellor, as they care for our city and its people in the coming weeks, months, and years. Together, this ascent marks a new era for New York City, led by a historic new mayor in Zohran Mamdani, guided by his dedication to a working class that makes our beautiful city run. Importantly, I also ask that we consider today an inauguration for each one of us, too. The nearly 8.5 million New Yorkers who make up the greatest city on earth. Because it is the people of New York City who have chosen historic, ambitious leadership in response to untenable and unprecedented times. New York, we have chosen courage over fear. We have chosen prosperity for the many over spoils for the few. And when the entrenched ways would rather have us dig in our feet and seek refuge in the past, we have chosen instead to turn towards making a new future for all of us. In Zohran Mamdani, we have chosen a mayor who is relentlessly dedicated to making life not just possible, but aspirational for working people. New York City has chosen the ambitious pursuit of universal child care, affordable rent and housing, and clean and dignified public transit for all. And we have chosen that over the distractions of bigotry and the barbarism of extreme income inequality. We have chosen this path because we know that it's the right thing to do, it's the smart thing to do, and that if we can make it here, we can make it anywhere. New York City, this is an inauguration for all of us, because choosing this mayor and this vision is an ambitious pursuit. It calls on all of us to return to public life en masse. Now is the time for us to turn towards our neighbors, stand with them, and return to community life. A city for all will require all of us to fill our streets, our schools, our houses of faith, our PTAs, and our block associations as we support this mayor in making an affordable city a reality for all of us. Zohran Mamdani will be the first Muslim mayor of our great city. He will be our first immigrant mayor in over a century. And he will be the youngest mayor of New York City in generations. But most importantly, Zohran will be a mayor for all of us. With that, let us extend our deepest well wishes and support to Zohran, his wife Rama, and his family, as well as those of our public advocate Jumani Williams and controller Mark Levine. We send you, your spouses and families, and all your loved ones all the support in the world as you embark on this great pursuit of a better city and future for all. Felicidades.
From the Islamic Center of New York City, please welcome Imam Khalid Latif, joined on stage by representatives from New York City's many faith communities, Rabbi Ellen Lipman, Pastor Andrew Wilkes, Reverend Stephen Green, Elder Jeffrey Sigler, Achuria Arun Gosai, and Sardip Tandip Kaur.
Let us pray. Ya Allah, Ya Rahman, Ya Arham Ar-Rahimin, most merciful of those who show mercy, we turn to you on this day from our city with hopeful hearts. Thank you for this moment. Thank you for the amazing individuals you have gathered here, diverse in color, language, journey, and name, but united in purpose, stitched together by shared hopes, all yearning to build something meaningful, lasting, and rooted in love, dignity, respect, and justice, no longer for the few, but for all. We come before you mindful that moments like this do not arrive on their own. They are carried forward by sacrifice, by organizing, by courage, by people who refuse to accept that the way things were was the way they had to remain.
Say so.
We come knowing that this day stands on the shoulders of so many who were told to wait their turn,
That's right.
to quiet their demands, to lower their expectations, but instead chose to believe that another New York was possible. We recognize that belief is not abstract. It was practiced by tenants organizing against displacement, by workers demanding fair wages, by parents advocating for their children's futures, by communities who kept showing up even when the odds said they should not. We gather today with hearts shaped by this city, by its noise in its neighborhoods, by its subways and sanctuaries, by the dreams carried in many languages and the prayers whispered on crowded blocks. We thank you for New York City, for a place that has taught the world how difference can become strength, how survival can become solidarity, how strangers can become neighbors, and for being a place that taught us that a young immigrant, democratic socialist Muslim can be bold enough to run and brave enough to win. Not by abandoning conviction, but by standing firmly within it. Not by shrinking who he is, but by trusting that authenticity can move a city towards justice. We thank you for the beautiful diversity of this city, for a people formed across continents and generations, across race and religion, culture and class. Teach us to never see that diversity as something to manage or fear, but as a sacred trust, a collective inheritance that expands our moral imagination and strengthens our shared future. Yes. On this day of transition and responsibility, we ask you to bless this moment of leadership and all who are entrusted with the weight of public service. Grant wisdom to Mayor Zohran Mamdani and remind him that leadership is not about power but about proximity to the people who struggle, to the voices too often ignored, to the lives behind the statistics. Keep him close to the realities of this city, to the family doubling up in a one-bedroom apartment because rent has outpaced wages, to the home health aide commuting hours each day to care for others while struggling to afford care for themselves, to the public school student navigating overcrowded classrooms, to the small business owner choosing between closing their doors or passing rising costs onto neighbors who already have too little. Bless him with the courage to remain grounded, the humility to keep learning, and the strength to lead with principle, even when the pressure to compromise is loud.
That's right.
Let his leadership reflect the movements and communities that made this moment possible, and never let him forget that this office exists to serve the people, not to rise above them.
Come on.
We lift up all those who came together to make what many said could never happen, happen. Organizers and volunteers, neighbors who spoke to neighbors, young people who believe their voices matter, elders who remembered past struggles and recognized this moment as part of a longer arc. Bless those who knocked on doors in the cold, who stood on street corners with clipboards and hope, who had difficult conversations rooted in love, and who chose participation over despair. Let the spirit that carried this moment forward not fade after today, but deepen and always endure. Make this city affordable for the families who built it and the workers who sustain it. Let no one have to choose between rent and dignity, between medicine and meals, between staying and surviving. We lift before you those living paycheck to paycheck in the shadow of unimaginable wealth, those working multiple jobs yet still one emergency away from crisis, those whose labor keeps the city moving but whose lives feel increasingly pushed to the margins. Let justice not be a slogan but a structure. Let equity not be a promise but a practice. Let policy be shaped by compassion and budgets reflective of our values. Protect the most vulnerable amongst us, our children and elders, our immigrants and asylum seekers, our unhoused neighbors, our workers, our artists, our caregivers, and the students who keep this city alive. Heal what has been broken by neglect and greed. Soften hearts hardened by fear. Replace cynicism with courage and despair with collective hope. And let that hope be something we practice daily, not something we push back. Let it live in our policies, our streets, our schools, and our systems. Teach us that hope is not passive. It is built through accountability, through care, and through a refusal to abandon one another. Remind all New Yorkers, those born here and those who arrived yesterday, that the city belongs to all of us and that our liberation is bound together. Help us show up for one another, not just in moments of crisis, but in the long, patient work of care. Teach us that the city we pray for is the city we must also build. And make this administration and all of us who call this place home a means of mercy, a force for fairness, and a reflection of your justice in this world. Let this moment be not an ending, but a beginning. Let what was once thought impossible become the standard by which we measure our future. And let New York City continue to show the world what is possible when people believe in one another, and continue to show that respect, dignity, and compassion are no longer for the few, but for the all. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Well done. Well done, Imam.
Please welcome Mandy Patinkin, accompanied by the 5th grade members of Staten Island's PS 22 Chorus, directed by Greg Breinberg and accompanied by Adam Ben David.
It's all right.
Jumble and the raindrops tumble all around. Heaven opens a magic lane. When all the clouds darken up the skyway, there's a rainbow, a highway to be found, leading from your window pane to a place behind the sun, just a step beyond the rain. Somewhere over the rainbow, way up high, there's a land that I heard of once in a lullaby. Somewhere over the rainbow, skies are blue, and the dreams that you dare to dream really do come true. Someday I'll wish upon a star, wake up where the clouds are far behind me, where troubles melt like lemon drops away above the chimney tops. That's where you'll find me.
none of that mean be N-I-G, N-I-G, N-I-G.
To administer the oath of office for Comptroller Mark Levine, welcome Attorney General Letitia James.
Brooklyn. Woo! Is Brooklyn in the house? Good afternoon and Happy New Year. I am so proud to be here today to usher in a new day for New York City. And today it is my honor and my privilege to swear in someone who has been a champion for tenants, a fearless fighter for working people in every corner of our city, my friend and the next controller of New York City, Mark Levine. It is truly my honor and my privilege to administer his oath of office. Controller-elect Levine, please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Mark Levine, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of New York, and I will faithfully discharge the duties of the Controller of the City of New York according to the best of my ability. Congratulations, Mr. Controller.
All right, well, there's no going back. Give it up for the best Attorney General in America, Tish James. Give it up for the PS22 chorus, all the way from Staten Island to Staten Island in the house. The rest are stuck on the ferry. All right. Thank you to my wonderful family, my wife, Evelise, and our sons, Alejandro and Daniel. I love you so, so much. Thank you to my partners in city government, our new mayor, Zohran Mamdani, and public advocate, Jumaane Williams. How remarkable is it that on these steps today, we have 3 swearings in, one by a leader using a Quran, one by a leader using a Christian Bible, and one by a leader using a Chumash, or Hebrew Bible. I am proud to live in a city where this is possible. Muy buenos días a todos y a todos. Me alegro que estén acá con nosotros. Lamento que están pasando tanto frío, pero ni modo. ברוכים הבאים לכולכם, איזה כיף שבאתם. שלום פוימה, אדומה זיסס. Now, for those of you who do not know Spanish, Hebrew, or Greek, welcome, thank you, and please download Duolingo. Now, I know what you're all thinking. What the heck is a comptroller? Excellent question. This job is about ensuring that people who have spent their lives working for this city can retire with dignity. It's about ensuring that our budget reflects our values, that our government inspires the trust of its people. A comptroller also understands the consequences for working class families when they are excluded from our economic system. I have seen this in my own neighborhood of Washington Heights, where far too many families, for far too long, have been held back from achieving their dreams, blocked from banks, and forced to rely instead on pawn shops and loan sharks. Back in the 1990s, I founded a community credit union uptown to change this. This financial cooperative, owned by the community, has lent out over $100 million in small loans in the neighborhood, with a 98% repayment rate, proving that when you give working people an opportunity, they will seize it. This is what our city must do now on a grand scale. Build an economy where we care for each other, where our prosperity is shared, where everyone has a fair shot. Our city today is booming for people at the top, but it's getting tougher and tougher for working families to pay their rent, to find a job with a living wage, and yes, Mr. Mayor, to find affordable child care. A comptroller must use the tools of the office to close this gap, and I will. We will invest tens of millions of dollars in new units of affordable housing to build all over the 5 boroughs. We'll make sure that housing is actually built, no matter the opposition from entrenched constituencies. We'll use the powers of oversight in the comptroller's office to ensure that the city keeps its promises, that it delivers the highest quality city services, that every nonprofit with a city contract actually gets paid on time. Wow, very big applause line. Note that, Mr. Mayor. We got to work on that. We will secure full funding for legal services for New Yorkers facing eviction so that at last our city lives up to its obligations under our first in the nation right to counsel law for tenants. Right, Vanessa Gibson? You on board for that? We will invest in protecting our imperiled planet by accelerating our city's transition to green energy, so that one day, when we look at New York from above, we will see a city full of solar panels and trees. We will protect the immigrants of this city so that families are not ripped apart by masked, unnamed government agents. And we will seek to understand each other. Though we will not always see the world the same way, we can and must ensure that all New Yorkers feel safe and respected, whether they're entering a house of worship, lighting a menorah in public, or saying the Salah prayer anywhere in this city. Our city government can and must take on the challenges of this moment. But to do that, we need a better city government, one that uses the tools of the modern era, a government freed from the worst limitations of bureaucracy, one nimble enough to move fast during a period of accelerating change, and to capitalize on the new promises of technology while protecting against its perils. No other city on earth has this many lives, languages, and dreams in one place. Our task now is to ensure that this will be a city where all of us together can achieve those dreams. Almost 30 years ago, I stood in a small storefront in Washington Heights, helping immigrant neighbors open their first savings accounts. They trusted us with their dreams, a small business, a child's education, a home of their own. Today, you have entrusted me with something far greater, to safeguard the resources and the future of this entire city. I promise you, I will honor that trust every single day. Muchísimas gracias. Toda rabá. Evcharisto poli. Thank you so much. Thank you.
To recite his original poem, Proof, please welcome Cornelius Eady.
Hold on. Well, first of all, I want to thank the mayor. I want to thank the mayor and his staff for inviting me, for the honor of inviting me here to read this poem. This morning, when I woke up, my wife joked that sometime during the campaign, there was probably somebody who said, him? He'll get elected when hell freezes over. So here we are. And I really want to really just thank the biggest, greatest gift I think I've ever had was to be in the Blue Room this morning after doing sound check, because the energy and the recognition and the joy of this moment was incredible. I mean, this is it, isn't it? I mean, this is what this work has been about, right? And it was just wonderful to see people see that moment. I was reminded this morning that New York was the first capital of the United States. And it seems to me that this might be another kind of new beginning for a certain kind of energy that might be starts here and goes out across the country, the rest of the nation. So, though this is a New York poem, a New York-based poem, I'd like to dedicate this poem. I just retired. I'd like to dedicate this poem to my trans, queer, foreign students of color at the University of Tennessee, Knoxville. So they can see this is possible. The poem is called Proof. Proof. You have to imagine it. Who said you were too dark, too large, too queer, too loud? Who said you were too poor, too strange, too fat? You have to imagine it. Who said you must keep quiet? Who heard your story, then rolled their eyes? Who tried to change your name to invisible? You've got to imagine. Who heard your name and refused to pronounce it? Who checked their watch and said, "Not now"? James Baldwin wrote, "The place in which I'll fit will not exist until I make it." New York, city of invention, roiling town, refresher and renewer. New York, city of the real, where the canyons whisper in 100 tongues. New York, where your lucky self waits for your arrival, where there is always soil for your root. This is our time. The taste of us, the spice of us, the hollers and the rhythms and the beats of us, in the echo of our ancestors who made certain we know who we are. City of insistence, city of resistance. You have to imagine an army that wins without firing a bullet, a joy that wears down the rock of no. Up from insults, up from blocked doors, up from trick bags, up from fear, up from shame, up from the way it was done before. You have to imagine that space they said wasn't yours, that time they said you'd never own. The invisible city lit, on its way. This moment is our proof. Thank you.
To administer the oath of office to Public Advocate Jumanji Williams, welcome 3 New Yorkers who have been impacted by immigration enforcement in New York City. Josue Nicolno Amundrai, Amadou Lee, Asadu Diallo, and Rebecca Press.
Show me what community looks like. Show me what community looks like. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Amadou Lee, and I'm a Senegalese American, a proud New Yorker, and I am honored to be a naturalized American citizen. I came into this country in 2001 as a teenager. I was undocumented, with no one and nowhere to turn. Yet, I felt at home. As I walked through the city, the bright light seems to whisper in my ear, telling me, dream, Amadou, dream. You too, you belong here. But being undocumented meant living in fear. It meant being vulnerable. It meant facing deportation. However, after my life story made the front page of the New York Times, something extraordinary happened. People showed up, blue-collar workers, teachers, celebrities, even presidents. They too said that I belong here too. Because of them, I was allowed to stay here. Because of them, I was allowed to study. I was allowed to build a life. But every day, thousands of New Yorkers face the fear I once did without the spotlight. They fear being abducted, detained, and disappeared. With me today is Miss Aissatou Diallo and Mr. Perez. Miss Diallo has lived in the United States for over 20 years. This past Thanksgiving, she was abducted by ICE at LaGuardia Airport. She was shackled and detained. After decades of building a life here, her freedom was suddenly stripped away. Mr. Perez and his family fled Venezuela in search of safety to New York City. He and his partner and their 3 beautiful children were summoned to 26 Federal Plaza just before Christmas. Just before Christmas. Not knowing whether they would walk out together as a family. And standing beside each one, as he stood beside many New Yorkers, was public advocate Jumaane D. Williams. He used his position, he used his voice and his power, not for himself, but to defend people that are under attack, to speak to those whose voices are too often ignored. And because of that solidarity, because that leadership showed up, because the neighbors showed up, Ms. Diallo and the Perez family can be here today with us. I would like to thank everyone who continued to stand with immigrant families in the face of fear and intimidation, and everyone who refused to look away. We are the proof that it matters. And we are reminded that advocacy can truly change lives. Because of the courage and compassion of New Yorkers, we stand here today at City Hall, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, we are proud to swear in the people's voice, the people's champion, our public advocate, Mr. Jumaane D. Williams. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for him.
Please raise your right hand. I, Jumani D. Williams,
I, Jumani D. Williams,
do solemnly affirm
that
I will support the Constitution of the United States
I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
the Constitution of the State of New York,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
of
the Office of Public Advocate for the City of New York,
of the Office of Public Advocate for the City of New York,
according to the best of my abilities.
according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
I didn't forget. Zohran, Mark, we did it. We're here. Thanks to everybody out here. Thank y'all. Peace and blessing, love and light as we begin a new term, a new era for New York City. Thank you, everyone. I want to thank Amadou and his inspiring family for being here at this ceremony in New York. I'm a son of immigrants myself. My parents came over from Grenada over 50 years ago. I was just sworn in on my late father's Bible. My mother is here today. I'm so proud to have my family, my wife and my children and my sister and my mom, everyone standing with theirs. Their stories perfectly capture this moment for the city. The challenges we face, the hardships we endure, and the hope that persists. Those realities are often in tension because this is a time and a place of contradictions. One where even as the federal government drives us to despair, local leadership can invite inspiration. When this celebration at City Hall is only blocks from tribulation at Federal Plaza. When the relief that these families are still united comes as so many are being separated. And this sense of contradiction carries across the 5 boroughs. This is a city of enormous wealth and enduring poverty, of the greed of some and the generosity of many, of darkness and of light. And I've seen the darkness, of course, yet I look out on New York today and I see so much light. These contradictions mean we can at once love our city as it is and challenge its flaws, not as a reason for pessimism, but a call for activism. As public advocate, I've tried to be an activist elected official, someone who pushes back. Now I see the chance to push forward. To provide accountability aimed at the ideal that government has an opportunity and an obligation to do good. At the core of public service and progressivism is the principle of making government work and showing people it can work for them. That means we need to meet people where they are, also show grace instead of ignoring what brought them there, and be honest about why. The powers in place would rather create an other to blame for our problems than to address them, whether it be our immigrant communities, our trans siblings, our homeless neighbors, or too many other marginalized groups. Rejecting those ideas means naming the reason that the powers in place perpetuate them, because if we are divided, the status quo stands. Whether you arrived in our city generations ago, or 5 years ago, or 5 minutes ago, the reason so many New Yorkers have too little are not because of the people who have even less or who have been here for less time, not because of the people pushed to the bottom, but the systems entrenched at the top. That's where we should focus our anger and our action. If we are not driven apart by the divisions of our races, our religions, our identities, but pulled together by the commonalities in our emotions, our needs, and our humanity, then we can all climb. I know that the project of New York is possible. That great mosaic described by another mayor who believed in democratic social ideals, David Dinkins. Yet the truth of it is there are people who are rooting for New York to fail. Some couch it in concern, others openly scorn our city. But at the heart of this hate is the truth that our success, that our very existence belies their core belief that New York is not possible. They demonize us because our mosaic challenges their ideology. They want to be right in their cynicism more than they want us to succeed in our idealism. They are driven by the idea that bringing together so many diverse people, cultures, faiths, identities into a united community is impossible. But New York, we are a shining beacon of possibility. We cross new cultural borders through each subway stop and are introduced to new experiences through each passenger. Our possibilities come in every language and from every heritage. So do our prayers, so do our people, so does our power. We've shown it in the face of oligarchy and authoritarianism. Neighbors standing with neighbors across borough and background to defend immigrant communities and feed hungry families. We see it in the multicultural mosaic that brought us to this very moment. Even with this great moment, I know that realizing the full potential of our possibility will not be easy. It never has been. Yet I believe it's possible to make great progress because I've seen it through my years in the building behind me and the streets before us. I've been in our movement and I've seen things move. The simple truth is that governing is hard, that achievement is exhausting, and I aim to assist my partners in government when possible and hold them to account when necessary to learn from what we've done and guide what we can do. I believe in this possibility that with the people, the tools, the passions, and the compassion that we need, we can meet the moment and create change. We can look into the unknown and see opportunity. That's the thing about uncertainty. Anything can happen, but anything can happen. We could make New York more affordable, more safe, and more just. We could, we can, and we have to try. This optimism toward action is embedded not only in our city's heritage, history, but in my heritage. In Grenada, Maurice Bishop took up the fight for these radical, crazy ideas, socialist ideals like housing, healthcare, and education. He demanded that we move forward ever, backward never. And today I echo that call from the Isle of Spice to the island of Manhattan. He also cautioned that revolutionaries do not have the right to be cowards. We can be afraid, but we have to meet that courage to match it. There are things to be feared, but there is also reason to hope. Hope is the embrace of possibility. Hope and fear are undeniably connected. Hope is the belief that good can come. Fear is the worry that it won't. In these contradicting ideals, we are faced with a choice, and I choose hope. In other words, I have faith. But faith without works is dead. So today, I'm committing to the work of public service, and I ask every New Yorker to commit their own talents to use what they have and do what they can for the success of our city and everyone who calls it home. I don't know if when my Grenadian mother arrived as a teenager, she hoped that a half a century later her son would speak from these steps. But she could have, because here in New York City, we choose to celebrate possibility and work to make reality. I wish I could go back and tell my younger self that. Instead, I'll say it to my daughters today, to the children of the Perez-Araneda family, to everyone who may question their own worth like I did, or whether it's worth fighting for the city with all its contradictions and problems and possibilities. And I gotta take a second to say something to so many young people who are out there. But I'm gonna say it to one person who's waited 49 years to hear it. Little black boy, you were worth it, and you always were. And without any titles, you were enough. You were always enough. And you deserve to accept love, and you deserve to be protected. And I'm honored to be here to help create a city that's worthy of that for you. And I'm so proud of you. So just hold on, we're gonna be all right. We're gonna be all right. I'm so proud of you.
It's all right. Let's go. It's gonna be all right.
As we head into a new year, a new term, I want to ask all of you to take an oath with me. Our neighbors, I know in Brazil, adopted this motto that I've tried to embody. I did hear it for Comptroller Lander, but I gotta give him his credit. That no one let go of anyone's hands, because if we're all connected, we can't lose anyone. So we hold on to the hand of our neighbor and we reach out with our other hand to grasp someone who may fall through the cracks, and we bring them along. I want everyone, if they're comfortable, take a hand of the person next to you or the arm and just repeat after me. We can all be the voice of the people. I know what's ahead, but I won't lose hold. And I won't lose hope. Anything can happen, so anything can happen. And as we march forward, no one let go of anyone's hands. Peace.
To perform the labor anthem, Bread and Roses, please welcome to the stage Lucy Dacus. To perform the labor anthem, Bread and Roses, please welcome to the stage Lucy Dacus.
Hello, New York. Happy New Year. As we go marching, marching in the beauty of the day, a million darkened kitchens, 1,000 mill-lofts gray, are touched with all the radiance that a sudden sun discloses. For the people hear us singing, bread and roses, bread and roses. As we go marching, marching, we battle to for men, for they are women's children, and we mother them again. Our lives shall not be sweated from birth until life closes. Hearts starve as well as bodies. Give us bread, but give us roses. As we go marching, marching, unnumbered women dead go crying through our singing their ancient call for bread. Small art in love and life closes. Hearts starve as well as bodies. Bread and roses, bread and roses. Thank you. Congratulations, Zohran.
Come gather round, people, wherever you roam, and admit that the waters around you have grown, and accept it that soon you'll be drenched to the bone. If your time to you is worth saving, then you
To administer the oath of office for Mayor Zohran Mamdani, welcome Senator Bernie Sanders.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor, thank you very much for inviting me to what has been an extraordinarily moving and beautiful afternoon. And I'm here mostly to thank the people of New York City. At a time in our country's history when we are seeing too much hatred, too much divisiveness, and too much injustice, thank you for electing Zohran Mamdani as your mayor. New York, thank you for inspiring our nation. Thank you for giving us, from coast to coast, the hope and the vision that we can create government that works for all, not just the wealthy and the few. At a moment when people in America, and in fact throughout the world, are losing faith in democracy, over 90,000 of you in this city volunteered for Zohran's campaign. You knocked on doors. You shared your dreams and your hopes for the future of this city. And in the process, you took on the Democratic establishment, the Republican establishment, the President of the United States, and some enormously wealthy oligarchs. And you defeated them in the biggest political upset in modern American history. You showed the world the most important lesson that can be learned today, and that is that when working people stand together, when we don't let them divide us up, there is nothing we cannot accomplish. Running a great and winning campaign was extremely difficult, but governing a city of 8 million people with all of its complexities and all of the problems that Zohran is inheriting will be even harder. Zohran needed your help to win the election. Now he will need your help to govern. Grassroots democracy and people participating in the day-to-day struggles of this city will lead to good governance. Please remain involved. You know, all of us have heard how Zohran's opponents have called the agenda that he campaigned on radical, communistic, Oh, and absolutely unachievable. Really? That's not what we believe. In the richest country in the history of the world, making sure that people can live in affordable housing is not radical. It is the right and decent thing to do. And in the midst of a massive housing crisis, it is exactly what the people of this city and this country want and need. Providing free and high-quality child care is not radical. Countries all over the world have done it for years. It is what our kids require if they're going to be well prepared for school and what working parents desperately need. It is, in fact, what every city in America should be doing. Free bus transportation is not radical. It will save workers time and money, protect our environment, and make the city more efficient. And making sure that every family in the city, regardless of income, has access to decent, quality food at an affordable cost is not radical. Good nutrition keeps us healthy, helps prevent chronic illnesses. In the long run, city-sponsored grocery stores will save society money. Lastly, and maybe most importantly, demanding that the wealthy and large corporations start paying their fair share of taxes. As I was saying, demanding that the wealthy and large corporations start paying their fair share of taxes is not radical. It is exactly the right thing to do. Today, while over 60% of our people in New York, people in Vermont, people all over this country are living paycheck to paycheck, we have more income and wealth inequality than we have ever had. While tens of millions struggle to put food on the table, pay for health care, pay for housing, the top 1% have never, ever had it so good. And yet, there are billionaires and large corporations that pay almost nothing in taxes. That has got to end. That will end. The billionaire class in this city and in this country have got to understand that in America, they cannot have it all. That America, our great country, must belong to all of us, not just a few. And that lesson begins today in New York City. Let me thank you all for the hope and inspiration that you are giving people all over this country. And now it is my honor to swear in your new mayor. Please repeat after me. I, Zohran Mamdani.
I, Zohran Mamdani.
Do solemnly swear.
Do solemnly swear.
That I will support the Constitution of the United States.
That I will support the Constitution of the United States.
The Constitution of the State of New York.
The Constitution of the State of New York.
And the Charter of the City of New York.
And the Charter of the City of New York.
And that I will faithfully discharge the duties.
And that I will faithfully discharge the duties.
Of the office of the Mayor of the City of New York.
Of the office of the Mayor of the City of New York.
According to the best of my ability.
According to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God. My fellow New Yorkers, today begins a new era. I stand before you, moved by the privilege of taking this sacred oath, humbled by the faith that you have placed in me, and honored to serve as either your 111th or 112th mayor of New York City. But I do not stand alone. I stand alongside you, the tens of thousands of you gathered here in Lower Manhattan, warmed against the January chill by the resurgent flame of hope. I stand alongside countless more New Yorkers watching from cramped kitchens in Flushing and barbershops in East New York, from cell phones propped against the dashboards of parked taxicabs at LaGuardia, from hospitals in Mott Haven and libraries in El Barrio that have too long known only neglect. I stand alongside construction workers in steel-toed boots and halal cart vendors whose knees ache from working all day. I stand alongside neighbors who carry a plate of food to the elderly couple down the hall, those in a rush who still lift strangers' strollers up subway stairs, and every person who makes the choice day after day, even when it feels impossible, to call our city home. I stand alongside over 1 million New Yorkers who voted for this day nearly 2 months ago. And I stand just as resolutely alongside those who did not. I know there are some who view this administration with distrust or disdain, or who see politics as permanently broken. And while only action can change minds, I promise you this: if you are a New Yorker, I am your mayor. Regardless of whether we agree, I will protect you, celebrate with you, mourn alongside you, and never, not for a second, hide from you. I thank the labor and movement leaders here today, the activists and the elected officials who will return to fighting for New Yorkers the second this ceremony concludes, and the performers who have gifted us with their talent. Thank you to Governor Hochul. Thank you as well to Mayor Adams. Dorothy's son, a son of Brownsville who rose from washing dishes to the highest position in our city, for being here as well. He and I have had our share of disagreements, but I will always be touched that he chose me as the mayoral candidate that he would most want to be trapped with on an elevator. Thank you to the two titans who, as an assembly member, I've had the privilege of being represented by in Congress, Nidia Velázquez and our incredible opening speaker, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. You have paved the way for this moment. Thank you to the man whose leadership I seek most to emulate, who I am so grateful to be sworn in by today, Senator Bernie Sanders. Thank you to my teams, from the Assembly to the campaign to the transition, and now the team I am so excited to lead from City Hall. Thank you to my parents, Mama and Baba, for raising me, for teaching me how to be in this world, and for having brought me to this city. Thank you to my family from Kampala to Delhi. And thank you to my wife, Rama. For being my best friend and for always showing me the beauty in everyday things. And most of all, thank you to the people of New York. A moment like this comes rarely. Seldom do we hold such an opportunity to transform and reinvent. Rarer still is it the people themselves whose hands are the ones upon the levers of change. And yet we know that too often in our past, moments of great possibility have been promptly surrendered to small imagination and smaller ambition. What was promised was never pursued. What could have changed remained the same. For the New Yorkers most eager to see our city remade, the weight has only grown heavier. The wait has only grown longer. In writing this address, I have been told that this is the occasion to reset expectations, that I should use this opportunity to encourage the people of New York to ask for little and expect even less. I will do no such thing. The only expectation I seek to reset is that of small expectations. Beginning today, we will govern expansively and audaciously. We may not always succeed, but never will we be accused of lacking the courage to try. To those who insist that the era of big government is over, hear me when I say this. No longer will City Hall hesitate to use its power to improve New Yorkers' lives. For too long, we have turned to the private sector for greatness while accepting mediocrity from those who serve the public. I cannot blame anyone who has come to question the role of government, whose faith in democracy has been eroded by decades of apathy. We will restore that trust by walking a different path. One where government is no longer solely the final recourse for those struggling. One where excellence is no longer the exception. We expect greatness from the cooks wielding 1,000 spices, from those who stride out onto our Broadway stages, and from our starting point guard at Madison Square Garden. Let us demand the same from those who work in government. In a city where the mere names of our streets are associated with the innovation of the industries that call them home, we will make the word City Hall synonymous with both resolve and results. As we embark upon this work, let us advance a new question, a new answer to the question asked of every generation. Who does New York belong to? For much of our history, the response from City Hall has been simple. It belongs only to the wealthy and well-connected, those who never strain to capture the attention of those in power. Working people have reckoned with the consequences. Crowded classrooms and public housing developments where the elevators sit out of orders. Roads littered with potholes and buses that arrive half an hour late, if at all. Wages that do not rise and corporations that rip off consumers and employees alike. And still, there have been brief, fleeting moments where the equation changed. 12 years ago, Bill de Blasio stood where I stand now as he promised to put an end to economic and social inequalities that divided our city into two. In 1990, David Dinkins swore the same oath I swore today, vowing to celebrate the gorgeous mosaic that is New York.
where every one of us is deserving of a decent life. And nearly 6 decades before him, Fiorella LaGuardia took office with the goal of building a city that was far greater and more beautiful for the hungry and the poor. Some of these mayors achieved more success than others, but they were unified by a shared belief that New York could belong to more than just a privileged few. It could belong to those who operate our subways and rake our parks, those who feed us biryani and beef patties, picanha and pastrami on rye. And they know that this belief could be made true if only government dared to work hardest for those who work hardest. Over the years to come, my administration will resurrect that legacy. City Hall will deliver an agenda of safety, affordability, and abundance, where government looks and lives like the people it represents, never flinches in the fight against corporate greed, and refuses to cower before challenges that others have deemed too complicated. In so doing, we will provide our own answer to that age-old question: who does New York belong to? Well, my friends, we can look to Madiba and the South African Freedom Charter. New York belongs to all who live in it. Together, we will tell a new story of our city. This will not be a tale of one city governed only by the 1%, nor will it be a tale of two cities, the rich versus the poor. It will be a tale of 8.5 million cities, each of them a New Yorker with hopes and fears, each a universe, each of them woven together. The authors of this story will speak Pashto and Mandarin, Yiddish and Creole. They will pray in mosques, at shul, at church, at gurudwaras and mandirs and temples. And many will not pray at all. They will be Russian Jewish immigrants in Brighton Beach, Italians in Rossville, and Irish families in Woodhaven, many of whom came here with nothing but a dream of a better life, a dream which has withered away. They will be young people in cramped Marble Hill apartments where the walls shake when the subway passes. They will be black homeowners in St. Albans, whose homes represent a physical testament to triumph over decades of lesser paid labor and redlining. They will be Palestinian New Yorkers in Bay Ridge, who will no longer have to contend with a politics that speaks of universalism and then makes them the exception. Few of these 8.5 million will fit into neat and easy boxes. Some will be voters from Hillside Avenue or Fordham Road who supported President Trump a year before they voted for me, tired of being failed by their party's establishment. The majority will not use the language that we often expect from those who wield influence. I welcome the change. For too long, those fluent in the good grammar of civility have deployed decorum to mask agendas of cruelty. Many of these people have been betrayed by the established order. But in our administration, their needs will be met. Their hopes and dreams and interests will be reflected transparently in government. They will shape our future. And if for too long these communities have existed as distinct from one another, we will draw this city closer together. We will replace the frigidity of rugged individualism with the warmth of collectivism. If our campaign demonstrated that the people of New York yearn for solidarity, then let this government foster it. Because no matter what you eat, how you pray, or where you come from, the words that most define us are the two we all share: New Yorkers. And it will be New Yorkers who reform a long broken property tax system. New Yorkers who will create a new Department of Community Safety that will tackle the mental health crisis and let the police focus on the job they signed up to do. New Yorkers who will take on the bad landlords who mistreat their tenants and free small business owners from the shackles of bloated bureaucracy. And I am proud to be one of those New Yorkers. When we won the primary last June, there were many who said these aspirations and those who held them had come out of nowhere. Yet one man's nowhere is another man's somewhere. This movement came out of 8.5 million somewheres. Taxi cab depots and Amazon warehouses, DSA meetings and curbside domino games. The powers that be had looked away from these places for quite some time if they'd known about them at all. So they dismissed them as nowhere. But in our city, where every corner of these 5 boroughs holds power, there is no nowhere and there is no no one. There is only New York and there are only New Yorkers. 8.5 million New Yorkers will speak this new era into existence. It will be loud. It will be different. It will feel like the New York we love. No matter how long you have called this city home, that love has shaped your life. I know that it has shaped mine. This is the city where I set land speed records on my Razor scooter at the age of 12. Quickest 4 blocks of my life. The city where I ate powdered donuts at halftimes during AYSO soccer games and realized I probably was not going to be going pro. The city where I devoured 2 big slices at Coronet's Pizza, played cricket with my friends at Ferry Point Park, and took the 1 train to the BX10 only to still show up late to Bronx Science. The city where I have gone on hunger strike just outside these gates. Sat claustrophobic on a stalled N train just after Atlantic Avenue and waited in quiet terror for my father to emerge from 26 Federal Plaza. The city where I took a beautiful woman named Rama to McCarran Park on our first date and swore a different oath to become an American citizen on Pearl Street. To live in New York, to love New York, is to know that we are the stewards of something without equal in our world. Where else can you hear the sound of the steel pan, savor the smell of sancocho, and pay $9 for coffee on the same block? Where else could a Muslim kid like me grow up eating bagels and lox every Sunday? That love will be our guide as we pursue our agenda. Here, where the language of the New Deal was born, we will return the vast resources of this city to the workers who call it home. Not only will we make it possible for every New Yorker to afford a life they love once again, we will overcome the isolation that too many feel and connect the people of this city to one another. The cost of childcare will no longer discourage young adults from starting a family, because we will deliver universal childcare for the many by taxing the wealthiest few. Those in rent-stabilized homes will no longer dread the latest rent hike, because we will freeze the rent. Getting on a bus without worrying about a fare hike or whether you'll be able to get to your destination on time will no longer be deemed a small miracle, because we will make those buses fast and free. These policies are not simply about the costs we make free, but the lives we fill with freedom. For too long in our city, freedom has belonged only to those who can afford to buy it. Our City Hall will change that. These promises carried our movement to City Hall, and they will carry us from the rallying cries of a campaign to the realities of a new era in politics. 2 Sundays ago, as snow softly fell, I spent 12 hours at the Museum of the Moving Image in Astoria, listening to New Yorkers from every borough as they told me about the city that is theirs. We discussed construction hours on the Van Wyck Expressway and EBT eligibility, affordable housing for artists and ICE raids, I spoke to a man named TJ who said that one day a few years ago, his heart broke as he realized that he would never get ahead here, no matter how hard he worked. I spoke to a Pakistani auntie named Samina, who told me that this movement had fostered something too rare, softness in people's hearts. As she said to me in Urdu, "Logo ke dil badal gaye hain." 142 New Yorkers out of 8.5 million. And yet, if anything united each person sitting across from me, it was the shared recognition that this moment demands a new politics and a new approach to power. We will deliver nothing less as we work each day to make this city belong to more of its people than it did the day before. Here is what I want you to expect from the administration that this morning moved into the building behind me. We will transform the culture of City Hall from one of no to one of how. We will answer to all New Yorkers, not to any billionaire or oligarch who thinks they can buy our democracy. We will govern without shame and insecurity, making no apology for what we believe. I was elected as a democratic socialist, and I will govern as a democratic socialist. I will not abandon my principles for fear of being deemed radical. As the great senator from Vermont once said, what's radical is a system which gives so much to so few and denies so many people the basic necessities of life. We will strive each day to ensure that no New Yorker is priced out of any one of those basic necessities. And throughout it all, we will, in the words of Jason Terrence Phillips, better known as Jadakiss or Jay to the moi, be outside. Because this is a government of New York, by New York, and for New York. Before I end, I want to ask all of you, if you are able, whether you are here today or anywhere watching, to stand with me. I ask you to stand with us now and every day that follows. City Hall will not be able to deliver on our own. And while we will encourage New Yorkers to demand more from those with the great privilege of serving them, we will encourage you to demand more of yourselves as well. The movement we began over a year ago did not end with our election. It will not end this afternoon. It lives on with every battle we will fight together, every blizzard and flood we withstand together, every moment of fiscal challenge we overcome with ambition, not austerity, together. Every way we pursue change in working people's interests rather than at their expense, together. No longer will we treat victory as an invitation to turn off the news. From today onwards, we will understand victory very simply. Something with the power to transform lives, and something that demands effort from each of us every single day. What we achieve together will reach across the 5 boroughs, and it will resonate far beyond. There are many who will be watching. They want to know if the left can govern. They want to know if the struggles that afflict them can be solved. They want to know if it is right to hope again. So standing together with the wind of purpose at our backs, we will do something that New Yorkers do better than anyone else. We will set an example for the world. If what Sinatra said is true, let us prove that anyone can make it in New York and anywhere else too. Let us prove that when a city belongs to the people, there is no need too small to be met, no person too sick to be made healthy, No one too alone to feel like New York is their home. The work continues. The work endures. The work, my friends, has only just begun. Thank you.
Standing beneath flags that represent all the boroughs in a feel-like temperature of 12 degrees at City Hall today, taking 38 seconds to say the oath of office using 2 family Qurans. Zohran Mamdani sounding today a lot like he did the night that he won the election, reaching out to all New Yorkers, particularly those that may feel like their voices have been ignored for way too long, expressing optimism, hope, and a better quality of life for all New Yorkers, not just the wealthy and well-connected, he said today. Referencing life in New York City in such detail, really underscoring his ability to connect with those that he feels keeps this city running on a daily basis.
He told New Yorkers to start demanding greatness again out of City Hall and promised that under his leadership, the city of New York would work for all New Yorkers. Let's go out to political reporter Marcia Kramer. She has been at City Hall all day. Marcia, you have covered countless inaugurations. You've heard a lot of speeches. They really do set the tone for an administration. What were your biggest takeaways? And did Mayor Mamdani do enough to speak to all New Yorkers, his supporters and his critics?
Well, I think that you have to take into consideration one line from his speech. He said, if you are a New Yorker, I am your mayor. He was reaching out to everybody in New York City. He wants to represent everybody. But I think we should also point out that he took on a large and very difficult agenda to accomplish. He says he's going to do all of the campaign promises that he made, and that includes free buses, universal child care, city-run supermarkets, and a rent freeze. He said that he wants everybody to stand together. But one of the things that I thought was really moving when he said that he's going to change the city of New York from a city of no to a city of how. So instead of saying, no, we can't do this, we're going to say, how can we do this? But another thing he said, and he's trying to make sure that he was true to his beliefs, he said, I was elected as a democratic socialist, and I'm going to govern as a democratic socialist. One thing that was very interesting to me, however, was the response that Bernie Sanders gave when he gave his speech, when he said he thanked New Yorkers for electing Zohran Mamdani for inspiring a nation. And the largest applause that he got was when he called for a new tax on the wealthy to pay for the programs that people need, the working class need. Zohran Mamdani talked about that as well, said he was determined to make the wealthy pay their fair share and to turn this into a city that will make it affordable for everybody to live here. Also, I think you should point out that after a very divisive campaign, he praised former Mayor Eric Adams, and he also talked about his predecessor, Bill de Blasio. Sort of interesting, he talked about a number of mayors, David Dinkins, Bill de Blasio, and Fiorello LaGuardia, who in various times had said that they would promise to make things better, that there wouldn't be a divided city. He said some had been successful more than others, but the truth of the matter is he's determined to make sure that he is successful. He said that he is determined to make this a city that will take care of all New Yorkers. And one thing that I thought was really moving, he said, you know, where else can a Muslim boy grow up eating bagels and lox every Sunday? So clearly he wants to reach out to everybody in the city. He wants this to be a moving administration. And another thing that he did, he asked everybody to stand up, whether they were in the audience or stand up at home, because he wants them to stand up with him to make sure that his agenda gets passed in Albany and that he can make it happen. It was a very moving speech, and I think that you can tell that people here are still cheering and applauding even after the confetti fell. So, live at City Hall, I'm Marcia Kramer, CBS News, New York.
Marcia, I would like to get your perspective on how Zohran Mamdani's success or failure will really have repercussions nationally. You know, we saw Bernie Sanders there. We saw AOC there. Really, the party and the socialism aspect of the Democratic platform really depends on the success or the failure of this administration.
Well, I mean, Bernie Sanders said it himself. I mentioned it earlier. Bernie Sanders said that Zohran Mamdani had inspired a nation. So the thing that people will be looking at, and by the way, so will President Trump and so will everybody across the nation, is whether Zohran Mamdani can deliver. He has taken on a very ambitious agenda. It's not just that he has to promise the rent freeze or he promises free buses. He has to deal with a budget shortfall. He has to deal with cuts from the federal government to all kinds of different programs. So he's going to have to tread very lightly, and he's going to have to convince Albany and Albany lawmakers to raise taxes. Now, how he does it remains to be seen. Governor Hochul is running for re-election. It's going to be tough for her to raise taxes across the board, and she's going to be doing it with the spotlight of Republicans trying to take her job away from her if she's too close to Zohran Mamdani. It's going to be a very interesting tap dance to watch, but one, as you point out, that the entire nation will be watching.
Marcia, thank you. This is certainly a historic mayoralship full of many firsts. The first Muslim mayor of New York City, the first mayor of New York City of South Asian descent. He took the oath on a Quran, 2 Qurans to be specific, and he's now holding a block party right outside the gates of City Hall. Jennifer Bisram is there covering that for us.
Hi there, Jess. Yeah, it was a lot of people who attended this inauguration block party. As a matter of fact, the last of the folks just got in about like 10 minutes or so ago at the tail end of Zohran Mamdani's speech. And I do want to bring in Danny from Brooklyn because she was here. She braved the cold. She was online for about an hour or two, and she was standing here. What did you think of this speech?
The speech was incredible. I've been following Mamdani for a while. My friend does media for him, so I've been seeing him from the start to where he is now. He has such a great way of hitting all different cultural points, like different people, creed, backgrounds.
Do you feel like he did that in his speech today?
Absolutely, absolutely. He just made sure to bring everybody together and make it so that we don't feel like, oh, victory, the job is done. We, the people, actually need to stay active because that's what it requires in activism. So it was really inspiring.
Before I brought you on, you said it was motivating to hear him.
Absolutely.
Why?
Super motivating because he understands that it's going to be challenging. He's not saying that things are going to be perfect, but we're going to try, and we're not just going to do small things just to appease the masses or the status quo. The status quo is why we're all frustrated. People are just surviving and not thriving here. So it's really inspiring to feel what we as New Yorkers feel inside of us, someone that could actually take that flame and hold people accountable and actually do the work and lead. And so it feels like we can trust him.
And you came here in the cold today.
I did!
All right, thank you so much for talking to us. Go warm up.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Okay, and just as I was telling you before, this is the first time ever that there was an inauguration block party here along the Canyon of Heroes. We did talk with lots of people who say they didn't care that it was cold. They wanted to be here to experience the moment. We did talk with a couple, a short time ago also about the speech that Zohran Mamdani just gave. Take a listen.
We thought it was wonderful. I mean, it gave us the hope that we needed. Also, just him talking about that this will not be a divided city, a tale of 2 cities, that it's going to be united, one. I think we're excited for that. It's the hope that we need.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I love the speech. I love how he's kind of paying lip service to all the different languages, all the different New Yorkers, all the different people, calling every individual person a universe unto their own, kind of prioritizing individuality as well as being a united city.
And to give you guys an idea, this was several blocks along Broadway here that was blocked off for this block party. And at one point, the people filled up here so much that they were really close to us right here. And if you can see further down, if Al can show you, that is all the way where the people had to go after they got into this entry point. So a lot of people here today, not sure of the exact number yet, but a lot of people came out, braved the cold just to witness this new era, what they call in this city's history. Now, there was word that maybe the mayor would come and greet the people who came at the block party. We haven't seen him yet. It's still unclear if he will do that. But for now, we are live in Lower Manhattan. Jennifer Bisram, CBS News, New York. I'm so cold I can barely say my name. I'll send it back to you guys in the studio.
I know you must be freezing, and we thank you so much for braving those elements. But one quick question. Are you separated from the crowd that was gathered? I mean, was there a pretty big space between you and the crowd? Because it's really hard for us to reference just how many people were there.
So to give you an idea, we are on Liberty Street and Broadway. This is the entry point where people were coming in. And behind our camera, that is where people lined up for several blocks. Once they got in, they had to go all the way down to the end, at least 4 blocks, I want to say, maybe a little bit more. And they filled up all the way down there. So we do have a crew on the other side who's also there, and they were able to give you guys a vantage point there. We were here, and even though we were here till the very end, there were still people at the very last minute filling up in this point. So yes, there was a lot of people here, and they all made sure that they were able to get their way in. And again, the last of the people got in at the very end while Zohran Mamdani was still giving his speech.
All right, understood. Just trying to get a better analysis of what we're seeing on camera versus what's happening there in the 360 view. Jennifer Bisram and your crew, thank you for that. Go inside the live truck and get warm.
Oh, we've all been there. It's miserable. She did a great job on there. All right, let's bring our experts back in. Dick Brennan, Sue Lozier. All right, we all know campaigning and governing are two very different things. Did you see a mayor up on that dais who was intent on bringing all New Yorkers together? And what were your other big takeaways? I mean, you were with Bloomberg for years. You know what it takes to run a successful mayor's office. You covered Mamdani, Dick. What did you see? What were your big takeaways?
Well, first of all, he dug in. I mean, he said, we're not talking about rugged individuals, we're talking about collectivism. He says, I make no apologies for being a democratic socialist. And he said, I will not abandon my principles just because people are going to call me a radical. So he doesn't care what people are going to call him. And this is just sort of him saying, again, this is what we're going to do. We're going to get it done. And this doesn't sound like a man who has to think about compromising with Albany. But in the end, that's what he's going to have to do. So this is more rhetoric from him, but where he goes with it, I don't know, because I don't know if the governor is going to be matching up with this kind of rhetoric, tax the rich, that kind of thing.
Well, she's already made it clear she's not willing.
She's not willing to do that. So where is he going with this?
Stu, what was missing from this speech?
The antagonism was missing. There wasn't really an us versus them. You heard an us versus them in some speeches. Certainly heard it when Bill de Blasio was elected. I was struck. This is a man who, it's not just what you say. Everything that Dick said is right. All the words he said were right. But it's not just what you say, it's how you say it in life and in politics. Zohran Mamdani is so different because he campaigns on TikTok. He speaks in the cadence of TikTok. This was not a TikTok cadence. This was like a 1980s New York telephone ad cadence. We're all connected, New York telephone. That's what he's saying. He's speaking to like boomers and Gen X. Remember, there's a Gen X. That this is not going to be scary. Some of the words he said, I mean, sure, he name-checked Sinatra and Pastrami on Rye. But he said, as Marsha quoted, if you're a New Yorker, I'm your mayor. So who's the mayor who said, to those who do not vote for me, I'm going to be your mayor too? In an inaugural address, 30 years ago tomorrow, Rudy Giuliani used almost the exact same words to reach out after his contentious fight with David Dinkins as Zohran Mamdani is using today, almost word for word. It is a radical speech, maybe, and certainly some aggressive policies, but it is couched in incredibly traditional, familiar, comforting tones.
It was almost Kennedy-esque, Ted Kennedy-esque in some ways. At the end, where he said, we will go on, the effort doesn't end. That was one other thing, a point he has made. He really wants to keep those 100,000 volunteers, and he wants the campaign to continue. He even mentioned at one point that he had spoken to Barack Obama, and that Barack Obama had said, this was in a New York Magazine article, that perhaps he didn't harness that energy that he had after he was elected. And that Mamdani said, you know, I want to harness that energy and keep it going, essentially keep the campaign going. And when Stu says nobody delivers a speech better than he does, it's absolutely true. There is a Kennedy-esque quality to it, a positive quality to it. But again, not tremendous amount direct reach out to certain communities. And by the way, I noticed not a lot of confrontation with Donald Trump. We heard it from Jumaane Williams. We heard it from other speakers, but only mentioned Trump's name once, referencing the people who voted for Trump on Fordham Road and Hillside Avenue and then voted for him, which he takes that as a badge of honor.
Well, there's a lot of Easter eggs in this speech. I mean, there's the one reference to Palestinian state and supporting Palestinian state over Israel. There was one reference to the word abundance, which is a code word, not a negative code word, but a code word for so much of Zohran Mamdani's based in educated white people from Brooklyn. I mean, there's a lot of hidden in there. Right. He was really masterful in that way. But if he thought his job was to say, I'm not so scary, I'm going to come in and talk to you about campaigning about making government work better, and you should have the same expectations from government employees as you do from the private sector. He did it in a way that I think is going to really satisfy and comfort a lot of people.
Okay,
who are nervous.
So what's next then? You were with Bloomberg during his second term, day one. What are we doing? Are we doing housekeeping? What issue is he tackling to show I can be successful in this new role?
It's a great question. I don't know. I don't have any great insights exactly what he's going to do, but he has to do something. I mean, like, the notion that government you should have the same expectations out of government employees as you do from the private sector is a little bit new. It's not something I feel I heard a lot of in the campaign, and I'm curious what he's going to do. I'm biased. That was Mike Bloomberg spokesman. I believe that the last time government really got a top-to-bottom tech rehab was in the years 2002 and 2003 when Mike Bloomberg came in, when we invented 311, which was before anyone had smartphones, let alone smartphones with cameras and GPS. There's a lot of work to be done. There's a lot he can do to say, we are doing big work early to catch up. And I presume we'll see something. My guess is we'll see something like that in the next day or two.
You know, a couple of things that I didn't hear in that speech was any direct any direct message to the Jewish community. I also didn't hear any sort of direct message to public officials in law enforcement. Those are two very contentious relationships from the very beginning of his campaign that continue today. Was that a mistake not to make those two references? You know, you mentioned, Stu, that he did a very good job at saying, like, listen, I'm not this scary man that's going to come in here and disrupt all of your lives. But those are two really important relationships that he needs to help to maintain to keep peace in this city.
Well, I agree with you on the public safety. I think there's less of that than I thought we might hear. He talked about Yiddish. He talked about pastrami and rye. He talked about growing up and eating bagels and lox. There were some reaching out. There was some references.
But that's your Easter egg point. It wasn't like a direct message. Right.
Yeah, the Jews, I think Jewish audiences hear that.
They got that?
I think Jewish audiences hear that. I think that, I'm not a religious Catholic. I think that if I were a religious Catholic, I would have looked at that group of clergy behind him and said, where's the Catholic?
Yeah.
Catholic City. He mentioned Irish and Italian way down, but
in Woodhaven, yeah.
There was. I feel like there was a bunch of reactions to the Jewish community, a bunch of Easter eggs for the Jewish community, so to speak, Passover Seder eggs for the Jewish community, if you will. But I did not hear a ton. There's some to white Catholics and some to some neighborhoods, but I was a little surprised that there was less of that.
But
maybe I didn't hear it.
But to Christine's point about the NYPD, that was a miss. I was thinking we would see something, hear something a little bit more forthcoming. Do you think that's sort of a behind-the-scenes situation?
I think that he has put he's allowed an extraordinary, perhaps one of the best two police commissioners our city's ever had, asked her to stay.
Yeah.
That isn't the most important thing. That's everything. Rank and file, yes, it could have been more on rank and file. There absolutely could have been. But, in the case of public safety, it's about numbers. It really is about you. There's always a perception of, do I feel safe? Do I not feel safe? And that's hard to fight. It's about murders. We ended New York, and New York ended last year with 330, 332 murders. It's extraordinary, down from a high of 2,000. And when we were in office, we thought if we could get it under 500, it would be a miracle. It's a number that matters for the NYPD, and that's what he'll be judged by.
I think he said right at the top, there are those of you who distrust and disdain me, but he said, I'm going to be the mayor for all the people. I think he just wanted to sort of gloss over that and say, hey, I'm talking to you. Maybe I'm not mentioning your specific group, but I am talking to you, and that's what Stu's getting at.
Well, he
but
also
more
said
glancing,
actions matter more than what I'm going to say right now.
Absolutely. So I think he gave it, but he only not what you might have expected, as Christine points out. No direct, olive branches, so to speak. But I think in his mind, he said, hey, I spoke to all New Yorkers.
Well, he gave one to the former mayor, Mayor Adams.
Yes.
So I just sort of figured he might go a little extra step there as too. But Stu, let's talk about this agenda, okay? What are the main things? Universal child care. That is such a complicated topic.
Extraordinarily difficult.
How are we going to, number one, pay for it? How is it going to roll out? Who's going to qualify for this? Where are these daycare centers going to be placed? Is it where the person works, so that they can get to the daycare on time and not have to leave work an hour before they're scheduled to leave, just so that they can get to the daycare before it closes? It's so complicated.
It's extraordinary. We don't know a lot of it. We know he's put a woman named Emmy Liss, who left the Five Borough Institute, a centrist think tank, to run this program for him. That's a great sign. She's incredibly well thought of, and she's praised by people I know that whose word I take, so that's great. And you're exactly right. I mean, the great issue is that there are fundamentally two kinds of people who are employed in New York. There's either the person who has to leave to get their kid by 5 o'clock because they get fined or they get whatever, or the person whose coworker leaves. Either way, if something happens at 4 in the afternoon, you are either running for your kid or you have a member of your team running for your kid. This is universal, no matter whether you work at a law firm, whether you work at a bank, whether you work at a bodega, it is for everyone. This is an extraordinarily difficult and complex issue because it's the New Yorkers with the least money who are in the worst situation. New Yorkers with a fair amount of money, hundreds of thousands of dollars of income, still in a very tough situation. And really, it affects everyone. Everyone who has a coworker.
Well, to Dick's point earlier, how are we going to pay for this? Because the governor said we need it across New York. It can't just
we're going to
be
hear
for
from
New
her
York City.
in 2 weeks.
That's right.
When she gives her State of the State address, she almost certainly is going to lay out some sort of plan because, let's face it, she's running for re-election herself. And you would imagine that she's already had conversations with Mamdani about what she is laying out because it's only a few weeks away. But as we point out, $15 billion. She says she wants it statewide, not just in the cities. We spoke earlier about who does this affect? Does it go all the way back to 6-month-olds and then all the way up? How many numbers? None of this has been worked out, and I think in part because nobody knows where they're getting the money from.
Well, yeah.
And also we're dealing with little people's lives.
Yes.
This is not whether or not a bus is late on a route. We're talking about
and
little...
it's not, the historical precedent might be Bill de Blasio coming in saying, I want paid sick leave for all New Yorkers. But the important thing to remember is that big companies already paid sick leave. It was just a question of mandates and rules and this and that. That was a technical question, but it's not like if you work at a law firm, they want you coming in when you're sick. If you work at a law firm, they don't pay for your child care. And this is a big thing to take on.
We only have a couple of minutes left, but I just want to get your overarching thoughts. How symbolic is a day like today for a new administration, especially one who's setting all these precedents, breaking all these historic norms? How symbolic was that, in your opinion?
It's extraordinarily symbolic for the city of New York, and not just because of the city of New York. It's because the whole nation has been watching. Zohran Mamdani is, in Donald Trump's words, a rock star.
Yeah.
He said he'd never seen a response in the Oval Office when Zohran Mamdani walks in. So when he speaks, the nation listens. The question is, what message is it going out to the nation? I think it's very firm coming from him. He believes in democratic socialism. This is how he wants to lead the city. And so I think a nation will be looking to you, Zohran Mamdani, and saying, how's this going to work out? Because is this going to be the future of the Democratic Party in cities across the country?
And speaking just from a local level, Stu, this is very symbolic for the Muslim community. They see themselves in this man that now is head of our city.
Extraordinary moment. The New York Post, often caricatured New York Post today, points out there are about as many Muslims as there are as Jews in New York this morning.
Wow.
So.
Stu Lozier, Dick Brennan, pleasure to spend this afternoon with both of you. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much for watching our special coverage of the swearing in of Mayor Zohran Mamdani. I'm Jessica Bohr.
And I'm Christine Johnson. We'll have much more analysis coming up on the news at 5, 6, and 11. And to hear the oath and Mayor Mamdani's entire speech anytime, we post it online. We'll see you soon.